Alrighty, hello guys, welcome your faces back to another video on my channel. Today we are back in Stormworks yet again, and today we're actually going to be taking a quick little look at almost every single one of my planes that I have ever built. Starting from this side, obviously we have the blue one that we are going to start with, and then we have a tank, we have a massive one that we never got finished, we have another airliner that didn't get finished, and a bunch of other stuff that also didn't get finished. But honestly, I wanted to have a little look at all of these, so I figured I'd go ahead and take you guys on the journey with me. Let's get to it. Alright, so this is our first one that we are going to be looking at today, and honestly this is a Frantic Air Force seaplane, as you guys can see, and it does actually have landing gear as well that does fold out and allows you to drive on the land. It is a twin prop, and it was inspired by the PBY. This actually is one of my favorite planes that I've built, and I think it looks really cool. The only thing that it's sort of missing is longer wings, but the pontoons do fold up to make them a little bit longer, and that's kind of cool. If we go across from that one, we have this giant bomber right here. This thing was designed to actually be massive. Unfortunately, I never actually completed this project, which is actually okay. But yeah, it needed longer wings. It needed an actual bomb bay, because I don't think I completed that. And yeah, it just needed a ton of extra work. It was kind of cool, but now that I look at it, it doesn't look as good as it could. So we might actually go back to a project like this one and design something very, very similar to maybe complete this project in the future. Possibly. Okay, the next one that we're actually going to go to is this guy right here. Now, you will notice that this is my massive tank, which is actually on the workshop. But these guys on the side were essentially things that I built that I thought looked cool. These little jet propulsion thingamabobbies. I thought they looked really cool, and I wanted to use them on something, so I used them on this. It is a flying tank. Alright, moving along to something that's a little bit more modern. This thing right here is our little jet fighter. It was designed to be like a micro fighter kind of thing, but we never actually got around to, I don't know, having it deploy from a plane. But that is what it's designed to do. It has foldy-uppy wings, as you guys can see right here, and it is equipped with some weapons as well. So that's kind of cool. Alright, moving on a little bit, we've got this thing right here. I don't think I ever actually showed you guys this thing. It was something that I built by myself, and honestly, it is actually a really cool design. It just doesn't look as good as I wanted it to, which is really unfortunate. But honestly, this thing looks really sick, and I do believe it does actually fly and work, but yeah, it has a few issues. Moving on then, this thing right here is, of course, if you guys actually watched it, by the way, this is, of course, our little plane from our aircraft carrier series. I believe this is like the third plane that we ended up building, and actually, it does fly. It has weapons, which is kind of cool, and yeah, it's able to fly around, which is awesome. Okay, the next thing we've got is actually this guy right here. Now, the one that's on the workshop, the version of this that is on the workshop, is actually a propeller plane with the propellers located above the aircraft. Now, I haven't put that one in this lineup, but I don't know. I figured I'd show you guys the jet engine version instead. It has a little bit of a cargo area at the back, and it also has a civilian passenger area at the front. Very, very cool plane, this one. It flies around really nicely, and honestly, it actually works really, really cool. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at isn't actually a plane just yet, but it is some wings. Now, if I could, I would love to design a really cool fuselage underneath this thing, but unfortunately, my attempt at building the fuselage didn't work really well, and that actually looked really ugly. But I might go back to this thing. I think the wings that we've built right here are actually really cool, but I'm not sure if we'll return to it or not. Alright, going to the back now. This right here was designed around, I don't know, like a 50s jet airliner. Obviously, we've got the inlet on the front, which is actually pretty sick, and then the engines actually at the back. Now, I didn't add any engines anywhere else other than on the side, because I didn't think we needed them, to be honest. I really didn't. So, the inlet on the front is designed to add air to these jet engines on the side, and then we've got an inlet right there for this one, which is, you know, kind of nice. I do think this project would actually be really cool to finish, so we might come back to this one in the future. I'm not sure. Let me know if you want to see it. Alright, the next one is actually this guy right here. This is designed around a real plane, but I don't think I ever actually made a video on this, because it doesn't look that good. It does fly, and it flies actually really well, but I don't think it works all that good, so that's why I never really showed you guys. Okay, this guy right here. Now, a few of you guys will actually know what this is. I designed this on a live stream. It has weapons above the wings, which is kind of weird, but yeah. And it was designed to be like a futuristic fighter, which it is. It's kind of cool. Obviously, I never got very far with it. We didn't add paint and stuff. But it is quite a nice creation. There's something going on over here where something is broken, but let's go ahead and continue to the next guy instead. This guy right here is, of course, our career mode plane, and it works really, really well. It is a push-prop design, which works quite nicely, unless, I don't know, maybe we had some issues mid-air. We would get chopped up by the propellers if we decided to jump out. That is probably the only problem with it, but yeah, other than that, it actually works really nicely. Okay, moving backwards. This is the airliner that we actually ended up not progressing with, but I do think it actually turned out quite nicely, and it is on the workshop if you guys want to, I don't know, play with this thing. But essentially, it has a bit of an interior. It goes all the way backwards to here, but I didn't actually finish it, and I'm not entirely sure why. It has wings, it has engines, it works, all of this is fully functional. It has landing gear that does work as well. I just, yeah, I guess I didn't feel like continuing with it, so I didn't, but it is quite a cool airliner. Alright, the next thing is our jet bomber. Now, this thing is actually really awesome. I do think it looks sick as well. It just has some, like, flight characteristics that aren't very good. And there's a few janky things with it, which I don't want to upload it to the workshop for that reason, even though I think it's really cool. Like, it has a full-on interior and everything. But there's certain bits of it that I just don't like. But as you guys can see, we've got our bomber stuff right here. We also have some more stuff right here as well. And we have a way to walk through the bomb zone as well. Kind of crazy. It's actually a really cool creation though. Alright, moving along. I want to get out of this area as quickly as possible because of the noise that's happening. It's so loud. But anyway, we're going to this guy right here, which is our Frantic Air Force jet. This actually wasn't a fighter. It was designed to be like a trainer kind of aircraft. It is only one seat though, and its landing gear is actually my favorite bit about it. It's only got wheels in the middle. How cool is that? And it does actually balance really well. We do have these skids on the side though, just in case it decided to fall over, but it never really did, so that's kind of awesome. Moving on then, really quickly, this thing right here is my BV-138, and it was designed actually before we could change the size of the propellers, I do believe. So now we would actually be able to make it a lot better, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But it is like a World War II German seaplane, and honestly, it's one of my favorite planes in real life. It's just, you don't really see them. You've never really seen them, but they're cool. They are cool. Moving on, this is my Junkers, or Junkers plane. It is designed around a Arado, because it is a jet fighter, but it is also a German World War II thing. Now, this thing is what is broken, I do believe, because the landing gear has come through the wings. That shouldn't have happened. Don't know why it has happened, but there you go. Honestly, I love the color scheme of this thing. It was built when we only had 1x1 wedges and 1x1 blocks. We didn't have any of these 1x2s or 1x4s, so that's why it looks a little bit too blocky. But honestly, I wouldn't mind building something like this again in the future. If you want to see that, let me know in the comments down below. Moving backwards, we have this thing right here, which is our little push prop plane. I didn't actually do any videos on this, I don't think. But yeah, essentially it is just a push prop. We have 4 seats in here, 5 seats in here, and a pilot seat, and not much else. I don't know why I've built this, I really don't. And there is actually some stuff downstairs as well, like a little cargo bit. I don't get it. I don't know what this is. It was built a long time ago. Okay, next thing. This was designed around the B-36, which is a push-prop bomber for the World War II for the United States. And honestly, this thing is actually really cool. I do believe I've added bombs onto the inside that do just fall out, and that's actually really cool. I like this one. I do really like this one. Okay, the next thing is Nemo. This right here is Nemo. It was a plane that I actually added to my battleship, or my first battleship, and it's silly. It is a very silly creation. It is twin jets, which is crazy for this thing, and it's called Nemo because of what it looks like, obviously. Moving on then really quickly, this is essentially a World War II German plane again, or at least that's what it's designed around. It is a 3-seater, I do believe, and I do think this thing actually flew quite well. It was also built in the stage when I was adding pineapples to everything. Don't know why I did that, but there you go. It also didn't have any weapons, so we added some pipes instead of weapons. So there you go. Kind of interesting, kind of cool, but there you go. Alright, the next thing is this thing right here. This is my first cargo plane that actually looked pretty cool. I was very pleased with this thing when I built it. Originally, it has the Frantic logo on it, at least the old one, and the stairs have broken. Yikes. That might also be the thing that's breaking. We also added a pineapple to this thing as well. It was built with 1x1 wedges, and yeah, it has a whole cargo door at the back, and overall, actually a very cool plane. I might build something else like this in the future. Okay, the next thing is maybe our only VTOL in this list. I might have one more VTOL, and it is our duck. As you guys can see, it is designed around a duck because it has a duck face. It has a beak, it has the mallard kind of colored head, and overall, actually looks really, really awesome. It is a VTOL though, so these guys do actually flip up and allow it to fly up and down, and overall, actually works really, really well. Unfortunately though, I did give up on this after a little while because it gets a little bit complicated with VTOLs, but yeah, it totally worked. The next thing is this guy, which is the Frantic Air. It was designed around the Concorde. It has Concorde wings, but it does have a push-prop propeller. A lot of you guys were very upset with that. It also has a Frantic logo on the side as well, and overall it is just an airliner with a bunch of seats in it. But I do believe this thing flew really well, but it was built with 1x1 wedges at the time. At least I do think it was, but it does seem to have some 1x2 wedges on it now. That's interesting. I wonder why. I don't know why that's the case. Interesting. Anyway, getting away from this noise, let's go over to our regional airliner that was built very recently. It has the jet engines on top of the wings, and overall actually looks pretty good. This is on the workshop for you guys to modify for yourselves, put an interior in, etc, etc, and it is one of my best looking planes because it is one of my newest looking planes. Honestly, this thing, very cool. Alright, moving on. This thing right here was essentially built to do with this right here. This is the jet engine and the propeller that we had on this down here. Essentially, this is the plane that I built out of it instead of the tank, and I think it looks really cool. I think right now I could actually make something better out of this, but I don't know whether I will. I'm not sure. Anyway, moving on, this is our spaceship thingamabobby. This actually is really cool, and it was essentially designed around something I'd built in Simple Planes a long, long time ago, and I do actually really, really like this. We have a little dome on the front where the pilot sits, and you can fly it around. We then have a jet engine back here that pushes us around, and that's pretty much it. Moving on, we have the Lemon. Now, this was in a previous video that I showed you guys, and essentially I built this on stream as well. We have the cannons on the front, which is pretty sick. We have the 4 engines, and they actually look really good. I just think in general this thing looks a little bit too weird, and that's why I never actually completed it. But overall, actually a very cool plane. It's just unfortunate that it looks so weird, otherwise it would have been completed. Alright, next, this thing was designed around the Mirage, or at least like some sort of French bomber, and honestly, it looks really cool, but I don't think this was built on a video. So we've got the inlets right here, and we've got one outlet on the back, which is our jet engine, and honestly, I do think this thing flew really nicely. It's just, it was never good enough for videos, or even the workshop, so there you go. Okay, moving on, we have our wing right here. You guys might remember it because it has the Gatling guns on the front. It also has the rockets as well, and it has lots of other stuff as well. I believe it is actually a bomber too, question mark? I think it has bombs inside. Yes, it does. And it also has a gun on the back. It is a push-prop design, and honestly, this thing looks sick. It has push-props, and it also has jet engines. Don't know why I did that, but there you go. Honestly, very, very cool creation. I love the paint job, and we also have the new Frantic logo on it, which is really, really cool. The next thing is a Coast Guard aircraft. This thing is pretty much empty on the inside. It is a bit of a shell, but it is on the workshop for you guys to modify. It has working landing gear, it has working jet engines. It does fly, and it flies really nicely. It's just, it needs modifying to add a little bit of pizzazz to. That is pretty much the only thing that's wrong with that, is that it doesn't have an interior. And finally, for the planes down here, we actually have this guy right here. Now, you will notice that this one has floats, and if you've watched the Landship series, you'll know that the body is actually on the Landship. I created both a floating version of this and also a normal wheeled version of this, and I've also added one onto the Landship that doesn't have any landing gear, so kinda cool. Anyway, finally, we have the huge plane right above us. This was the biggest plane in Stormworks. That was the video that I did. And it has a bunch of engines, which are actually propeller driven, and also electric. And it did actually fly. It took off from the water with the help of some boosters and also some propellers on the bottom too. It was just a giant plane, which is actually bigger than pretty much all of those put together, which is crazy. But there you go. Anyway, I figured I'd throw that in because it's kind of interesting. But yeah. So, this isn't actually all of the planes that I've ever built. This is just a bunch of them that I've built, and I missed one. This is my World War II seaplane. Actually, a very, very cool creation. It is. It's just a very cool creation. I really liked it. We added machine guns, we added bombs, and it was a seaplane. This is on the workshop as well, in case you wanted to see it. I don't know whether I showed you guys this either. This was built on a live stream before too, and kind of ugly. It was 1x1 wedges, and not very good, as you guys can see. But anyway, that is pretty much all of these creations that I've shown you. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Let me know if you want to see me create or continue with any of these guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.